Hey everybody, it's Eric from EPAutos.com, your libertarian car guy. You're probably wondering what you're looking at. Can't tell the car that I'm in. It's a 2026 Mini Cooper, so I'm going to pan back a little bit. And now you can see the major change, which actually happened last year in 2025 when they substantially updated the Mini. What they did was to eliminate one of the things that actually had been kind of a hallmark of the reborn, reincarnated iteration of the Mini that had been around for many, many years. And it, of course, had a bunch of cool little chrome toggle switches, and it had a big central gauge cluster. Now it's got a single LCD cluster. Pretty much everything obviously is in here. There's literally nothing in front of you anymore. And the only other controls are these things right here. So, to turn on the engine, they still give you kind of a faux ignition key. I have a fob in my pocket, so if you have the fob in your pocket, what you do is you turn that, and that starts the engine. There you go. And this allows you to change the experiences, which means things like driving modes and also the various interior ambient color mechanisms. The other thing you may notice, the center console, there's no longer a shifter of any kind, including for the automatic transmission. Now you do it through another toggle, this thing here, and there's no longer a manual transmission. They all come standard now with an automatic transmission. I think that's a shame. Of all the cars that ought to come with a manual transmission, I think the Mini is probably the apotheosis of that, in that it's a small, agile little car, and small, agile little cars are supposed to have manual transmissions, or at least be available with them, and they're not anymore, and I think that that's just sad, unfortunately. I hope they decide to bring it back. I think the reason that they pulled it, in case you didn't know, BMW owns Mini. Mini used to be a British-made car. Now it's basically a British-made, or a car licensed to use the iconography, names, and so on of the old British car that's made by BMW. And the other thing about it is that it's no longer an inexpensive car. It starts around $30-something thousand, which I guess relative to the average transaction price of $50,000 is still somewhat affordable, but it's also pretty expensive for a car of this type. Something like this, a little two-door, fun little knock-around car, in my opinion, something like this should be available for $17,000, $18,000 at the outside. I think, at $30,000, you're getting to the point where it's like this weird confluence of things, because the people who can afford that tend to be older people. I mean, not ancient, but older people. Typically people who are no longer in their 20s. They're in their 30s now. And typically, once you get to that point, you probably aren't single anymore. You might have kids, at which point a car like this isn't very practical. Now, when you're 24 and you're single, a little two-door thing like this, it doesn't have a lot of cargo space, doesn't take up a lot of space. Perfect for a commuter car, perfect for a car to just kind of live your life and go wherever you want to go. So, I don't know. I think Mini would do better if they returned to the roots of the Mini Cooper and made this thing more affordable and more elemental. Meaning, bring back all the cool array of controls that the car used to have, and definitely bring back the manual transmission. That said, it's still cute, certainly on the outside, and it's certainly different. It's immediately recognizable relative to all of the other cars on the road that seem to look pretty much like every other car on the road, because pretty much every other car on the road at this point is a crossover. Anyway, I'll have more about this Mini up at EPAutos.com, and thanks as always for viewing, and we'll have more for you again soon.